Hello and welcome to episode 125 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Suzie. I am your host and I am an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. Today we're going to talk about the Akashic Records of pets and animals in general. So this is a question that I get asked a lot in level 2 training. So level 2 training is where you learn how to be an Akashic Records reader at a professional level. And one of the things that gets asked all the time is, can I read my dog or my cat's Akashic Records? Now, I'm going to caveat this from the very start. This is not an area I specialise in, so please do not send me an email to tell me that you'd love me to access the Akashic Records of your dog, your cat, your horse, whatever. This isn't an area I specialise in, but what I do know is that the Akashic Records are going to choose how they work through you, and previous students of mine who are now Akashic Records practitioners, I know a number of them have gone on to read the Akashic Records of people's animals and also do energetic healing and clearing. So they've been through level 3 training, and not only do they get the information from pets' Akashic Records, but they also are able to help those animals through energetic healing and clearing. So for some of you that may be of interest, for others it might be not of interest. That's completely fine. The Akashic Records are going to choose how to work through you as a practitioner, and for some people this is their calling, but it's not mine. So I just want to caveat that from the start. Now, the first thing to know when it comes to accessing the Akashic Records of your pets is that consent is a very important thing in the Akashic Records. So again, this is something I cover a lot in the professional training, the importance of consent. When you book in an Akashic Records reading with somebody like myself, a practitioner, you're giving express consent for them to access the Akashic Records, and by bringing your questions to that session, you're giving the reader express consent to access your Akashic Records for the purposes of understanding the answers to the questions that you have. Or in a clearing, when you book that session, you're giving, again, express consent to the practitioner to go in and do and support the clearing process that's happening. So the energetic clearing that's taking place, and to provide you with the information around that energetic clearing. So that's you giving consent to the practitioner. And consent is very important. So the general rule in the Akashic Records is no consent, no access. So you don't access anybody's Akashic Records without their consent. So if somebody comes along and wants you to go and look into somebody else's Akashic Records, that's a no-no. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, that you can't go and look at perhaps the nature of a soul contract that the person that you're reading for has with another individual. We do this a lot with parents with their children because, again, we're not able to access the Akashic Records of anyone who's under the age of 18. But what we can do is we can look at the parent's relationship to the child and determine what information, and the Akashic Records will determine what information is relevant to the parent to know about that child, but that isn't going into that child's Akashic Record. Consent is very important. And then, of course, how do we get consent when we're talking to our animals? Unless you are an animal communicator who can talk to your animals, how are you going to be able to get consent? With animals, it's quite simple. If you have consent, you'll get into their Akashic Records. If the animal does not consent, then you're not going to be getting into their Akashic Records. So it's always worth asking the Akashic Records practitioner, if you're going for an animal reading, for them just to check that they're able to get into the animal's records. Of course, if they're an animal communicator, they'll know if they have express consent from the soul, that is that animal. But if not, then it's always worth just checking that they can get in. So what types of things can come up for pets and animals in their Akashic Records? This ultimately depends upon the types of questions that you're asking on behalf of that animal. You can ask in your own Akashic Records about the nature of your soul contract with your pet, about how to best support your pet. You can ask questions in your own Akashic Records reading, and that's certainly something that comes up in readings with me. But when it comes to accessing the records of the pet, you really want to be focusing on what you need to know about that soul to how you can support it on its journey. The information that you're going to get is going to be based on the types of questions that you bring forward. Some questions you could ask are, what's the soul contract that this pet has with me at this time? Why does this animal suffer from separation anxiety or any other ailments that you're noticing that it has? How can I best change the environment that we're currently inhabiting to best support the animal? The list really is endless, but it's about helping that soul the soul of the animal that has chosen you and has come to live with you, and help it on its journey of soul expansion, because that's what you're doing as a pet owner. And I know lots of you feel that these souls have come into your life during a difficult time and they're there to support you, and you're also there to support them. But use the same rules that you would with normal Akashic Records questions, so how, what, why, and then just tailor them to what you need to know for your animal at that time. So yes, of course, our animals have Akashic Records because the Akashic Records are the record of the soul, that individual fractal of source consciousness, and the adventure it's been on. And animals' adventures as souls are fascinating. If that's something you want to specialise in, if you feel called to that, then I would absolutely encourage people to do that. As I said, it's not something I teach separately. We talk about it a bit in level 2 and different ways that we're able to access, but it's something for you to explore if you're feeling called to do that. So hope that's given you a little bit of food for thought, especially for those of you who are animal lovers, who maybe have a deep soul connection to a pet that's in your life, and maybe expanding to, okay, I want to go and check out my relationship with this soul and understanding that better so I can help support that soul's expansion and evolution through its time here with me on planet Earth. So I hope this has been interesting, and I, of course, will see you next time for the next episode.